Hey, this is Brandon McManus, Denver Broncos Super Bowl champion, and you listen to The Scoop on alscoop.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Scoop. This is Season 5, Episode 44. I'm John DiCarlo, joined by Sam Newman, Graham Foley. We have a lot for you today. Some big football recruiting news to bring to you, but the biggest piece of our day is that we are thrilled to have Khalif Battle with us. Khalif is transferring from Butler, as you all know, and as part of this 2020 recruiting class, figures to be a big piece of the Temple basketball program moving forward. Khalif, thanks so much for making time for us today. We really appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good, man. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Hanging in there.
Just to start things off, I know that you've talked about some of this stuff with Sam in the past when you committed to Temple. But just for those who maybe aren't as familiar with your story, a time comes when you've decided you're going to transfer from Butler after your freshman season. Just tell us why you chose Temple and how they got involved and once you entered the transfer portal and just how everything came together for you.
Well, me and Coach at Butler, Coach Jordan, we had a talk after the season. I just felt like maybe the best move for myself. I wasn't very happy being in Indiana, being away from home, really. I really wanted it to work out. We both wanted it to work out, but I just couldn't. Wasn't really feeling the part of really coming back and going to that school and being so far away from home. So, and then I already knew Coach McKee from when he was recruiting me when I was a senior in high school, my senior year. So I was pretty familiar, and they came into the picture. So I was already interested because they had recruited me from before, so they already know my game. So from there, it was kind of like a done deal after talking to them.
When we first talked, you mentioned that Georgia and Clemson were involved with your recruitment once you decided to transfer, and then Hofstra and LaSalle were really involved too. You said Temple was your favorite all along, but you didn't really want to react to favoritism right away and wanted to see if you kept having that feeling. What was it about Temple and Aaron McKee that made them your favorite?
Well, Coach McKee has so much experience, from being a college player and then being an NBA player and playing with great NBA players and then coaching in the NBA. So he has so much knowledge that, I just can't wait to get to campus and pick his brain and just being in the gym every day and just learn from somebody who's already been through that process and been to where that I'm trying to get to.
Now, as a transfer player, are you pursuing a waiver to be eligible to play right away?
Yeah.
Just to follow up, what's that process? I know you haven't gotten an answer yet, but is it kind of nerve-wracking when you're kind of sitting around waiting for an answer, or do you kind of just have to take your time with it?
I just gotta take your time. Whatever happens, gonna happen. With everything going on, pandemic and all that, it's so hard to even worry about that right now. So, I'm just focused on getting better every day, making sure my family's straight, and make sure they're okay, and just continue on my day.
I know you told us why you wanted to leave Butler, you wanted to come close to home, but what did you take from your time there, your one season there?
I learned from a winning culture. I had nothing but seniors. At one point, we were top 5 in the country that year, last year. So, I learned from the veteran guys about, being ready to play every day, coming in prepared, icing your body, taking care of yourself, going to sleep on time. So I really took away a lot from that aspect. And being away from home was hard, but I learned a lot from that as well. Going to school, making sure that I make sure myself is straight. And, your parents aren't over your shoulder and looking over you at every single second. So that was new, but, I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I got to experience that.
Caleb, you told Sam back in March that when you found out about Aaron McKee, being the head coach at Temple, that it was kind of basically a no-brainer. And he was a star at Simon Gratz. He was a star at Temple, played in the NBA for 13 years, and he was the 6th man of the year on that 2001 team that went to the finals. And Allen Iverson's always called him a big mentor to him. But at least to people in the media, you don't see Aaron outwardly brag about that stuff. What can you tell us? Can you tell, if you were to talk to fans, talk to reporters, what's he like when he's recruiting you and when he's mentoring you as a coach? Because he doesn't outwardly lead off conversations and say, hey, you might have heard of me. I played for the Sixers, or AI said I was really important to him. He doesn't talk about that stuff. What's he like when he's mentoring you and when he's recruiting you?
Coach McKee is just real. He really doesn't talk about like his accomplishments, but basically what he wants me to accomplish and how he knows where that I can get there. And the other guys as well. When we talk, all the guys talk together, it's really about things about how to become better men first, and then the athlete part second. He's just talking to us about how we have an opportunity here just to get a great education, and a lot of people my age, a lot of African American males my age, a lot of them don't go to college. So I'm already winning at this point. I already have a victory. So I'm just happy to get an education. He talks to me about that, and he's always talking, working real hard to be the player I want to be. We have talks all the time. I always tell him I want to be a great player one day. I look up to guys like Coach McKee. So, I have aspirations of doing what he did, and, I think he's going to help me get there.
Kayla, if you have a mentor in your brother Tyus, who was a big-time recruit coming out of high school and a great player at Syracuse before moving on to the G League now, when we talked the last time, you said he was your superhero. A lot of people have seen him play, but for those who haven't, can you tell them what he meant to you growing up and how he's helped you as a person and a player?
Everything. When you're a little brother, you automatically just want to, be better than your big brother. You have no choice but to watch your big brother. You want to follow in his footsteps. So, at times it was always hard because I always felt like I was in the shadow, but it just made me work harder. And, he used to kick my butt, when I was a kid, in one-on-ones. It wasn't even close then. Now it's closer now, but I still can't beat him. But, I still give him everything I got. But, it just means everything that, that I got to see that process. I got to see the draft process. I got to see the college experience. I got to see, how you should go about things, how you should go about recruitment. So I already got a head start. So basically I already had the study guide to the test. And when it came time to take the test, it was pretty like I already knew what was going to happen. I already knew what was going on. So, having an older brother like that and being able to follow his footsteps, it meant a lot to me.
What's one thing maybe that you've been working on most in this time between leaving Butler and coming to Temple? Is there a specific area that you feel you need to improve on most?
No, I don't think I did anything. I don't even think I even scratched the surface at Butler, honestly. I don't think I did anything that was really – I think I had flashes of really good things, but I don't think I showed everything that I really can do. So right now I'm just working on everything. I'm working on ball handling, becoming a better defender, better shooter, everything, finishing, getting stronger. That was a big thing. So everything's being put into play. I'm just working on every day, just trying to get better.
Caleb, you also talked about how Nate Pierre-Louis is like a cousin to you and how he played a big role in you transferring to Temple. What was your relationship like with Nate growing up, playing against one another in the AAU circuit? And what are some things that Nate told you about Temple that maybe played a role in your decision?
Yeah, Nate and I used to actually play for the same team growing up. Him and his little brother, Josh. Josh used to sleep over my house probably almost every day. Just growing up, we used to go to AU tournaments. He used to come back, sleep at my house. We used to wake up and work out. And we all played for my dad's basketball team growing up, Team Battle. So, and then that family atmosphere just kind of, shaped its own. We were supposed to go to high school together, but, things didn't work out. And then, when it came down to college and he found out I was transferring, we always wanted to play together. So that was that helped me commit to, that helped my decision process. He told me that Temple's like a great school. People love basketball there. He told me how great coach was and how loving the team is and how they want to be great also. So he helped that process.
And Nate, after that process, just decided to go pro. I guess, is it disappointing at all that you're not going to be able to play with him? And did that, knowing that could potentially happen, did that change your thinking when you were thinking about going to Temple?
Nah, not at all. It was more just I already liked Temple. I didn't go to Temple because of Nate. Nate was just like the icing on the cake, really. But when he called me on my own and just told me that he was thinking about he's probably going to leave. If anything, I was just excited for him. I was proud of him. I know how hard he works. So I just went the best. And right now he has the opportunity to change his life and his family. So I'm gonna go with it. happy.
You committed to Temple around the time that they announced they would be switching over to Nike. I mean, you already played in a Nike school in Butler. Are you a Nike guy? Was this a pleasant surprise for you?
Yeah, it was. I was cool with the whole Under Armour thing, but I'm a Nike guy, man. I'm a Nike guy. I play in the EYBL. I have no Under Armour shoes. I have no Adidas shoes. I'm a Nike guy.
Just a quick follow-up. Did they mention that to you when they were recruiting you, or did you not really have an idea?
They were talking about like they might go Nike. That kind of aroused me. I was excited about that. But it wasn't certified yet. So when it was certified, it just put a big smile on my face. That was perfect timing for me.
How have you managed the obstacles of the coronavirus pandemic while transferring to a new school and not being immediately able to make that transition? Have any particular coaches or players taken you under their wing to make that transition easier?
Yeah, the coaching staff at Temple made it easier. They just told me, just to make sure I'm staying in shape, and I made some a picture of that I'm working out or whatever. I might ask them questions on like, Coach, what should I work on? This, that. Really, just if I'm working out with like a specific person. I know he's healthy and he knows I'm healthy. I just go from working out and going right back in the house. I do that a couple times a day. So I might get an extra few workouts on my own. Really, my brother's, he's just telling me to stay in the gym, keep your body up, because I know a lot of people probably not working right now. So I'm still working like we're not even in the pandemic, just working smarter. So that's good.
Yeah, but I was hoping you could talk about just the way you shoot the ball and the evolution of your shot, because you can, that looks like it's one of the strengths of your game. You can really shoot it. To me, you kind of remind me, I don't know if you ever, you were younger when he was playing. Deontay Christmas played at Temple back, and he played for Cheney for a couple of years and Fran Dunphy for a couple of years. He was a 2,000-point scorer at Temple, played a little bit in the NBA and overseas. Your shot reminds me of him, the way you get the quick release, and you can obviously, like I said, you can really shoot the ball. Is shooting something that, I know everybody has to work on their game, but is it something that kind of clicked with you and always came naturally, or did you really, really have to work on it before it came together for you?
I was always able to shoot growing up. I didn't always jump as much as I did until about my 7th grade year. I started really jumping on my shot. It's funny because I actually started jumping on my shot because I knew Shiz when I was about when I was about 7. Around that time, around 7 years old, I knew Shiz. And he used to play with my brother on team final. And I saw he used to jump, and I used to always think that, damn, his shot pretty right there. So I tried to emulate it. I tried to copy his shot. And then it became I kind of adjusted it so I can perform on it and shoot at a high clip. And then, I just got better at shooting. And then people started telling me how I'll shoot the ball. It's electric, So now it's just, I really work on it a lot. I work on my craft, but I really work on shooting because I see like everybody tells me the NBA is going to, you get paid for that now. So that's really just what I try to, perfect.
And you're coming in now at a time when Aaron and the staff really kind of overhauled the roster between you and a guy like Quincy Adamakoya. They're bringing in at least 2 players who can really shoot the ball, and then you have Jeremiah Williams coming in from Chicago, Nick Jourdain coming in the front court, Sage Tolbert, another transfer coming in. I know he might have to sit out, but have you guys had a chance to, I imagine you guys talk on Zoom and group text and stuff, but have you guys kind of had the chance to talk and communicate about what this class could really mean for the program moving forward? Because it really is, it's a big time of change, but I would have to imagine it's an exciting opportunity for you guys. Do you guys kind of talk about like grasping that and saying like, wow, we could really seriously affect the future of this program moving forward?
I wouldn't even say that. I think when we talk, we're more like when we talk, it's more like how you doing? Make sure you are all right. Everybody's excited about, we show that we working out, making sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. We don't really talk about like stuff like that. When I was at Butler, we didn't really know how good we were going to be. We had coaches told us that we had a chance to be good, but it's on us. and we didn't really talk about it. We didn't really expect it, and then we ended up being one of the best teams in the country. So, I mean, I really think that this can happen with this Temple team. I feel like right now we're just trying to get by what's going on right now and just, keep working. And then, I mean, I'd love to see what happens. Hopefully we can do that, That'd be great.
And what'd you learn as a freshman playing behind a first-team All-Big East player and one of the best scorers in the history of the program in Kamar Baldwin?
Kamar, that's my guy. That's like my big brother right there, one of my big brothers right there. He took me under his wing. I learned not just about basketball with him. I just learned about, just how to carry yourself off the court and to how to prepare to jump on the court. He was my roommate in hotels and on every away game. He always told me that he just talked to me privately. He always told me, in practice, he had to guard me every day. So he always told me, like, yo, okay, you're one of the hardest players I ever had to guard. And you're just a freshman, keep working. You have a special talent. You're gonna be great one day. Just don't look at what anybody said. Just keep doing what you're doing. So him and Miles Powell. Miles Powell's my big bro. Also, he told me the same thing. So really, when I got guys like that in my corner, and they just tell me to keep doing what I'm doing, it makes me feel good. It just makes me want to go harder and just prove to them that that I could play too.
Khalif, there was a story in The Athletic last year about how when you were in the 5th grade, you had a comment saying that you would never be as good as your brother as a screensaver on your phone. Mm. And the reason you said that you didn't want to go to Syracuse is because you didn't want to be known as Ty's little brother. Do you use that as motivation and fuel when playing?
Yeah, I used to use it really when I was younger. I felt like so many people try to call me Ty's little brother instead of people used to call me Ty's little brother. They never called me Khalif. So that kind of bothered me a little bit. I wanted to be my own person. And he got so much of a spotlight in high school and college that it was kind of hard for me to get away from that. So, I definitely didn't want to go to Syracuse for that reason. I love Syracuse. I was over there a lot. I love the coaching staff and the players there. But the biggest thing for me is just, coming into my own. My brother told me that's important for me. So he always wanted me to do my own thing and create my own legacy somewhere else. And that he's standing by it 100%. And he thinks I'm going to be a very special player. So, yeah.
Khalif, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about what's going on in the world right now. We're recording today on Juneteenth, and it's obviously a time where people are protesting. And they're looking for real change in this country as we look at combating racial injustices. It's affecting this world. Obviously, it's affecting you guys as college athletes, and a lot of them on Temple's campus are getting involved. Aaron McKee marched in a peaceful protest with J.P. Mormon. Isaiah Graham Mobley on the football team helped lead a bunch of Temple student athletes. And this has to be a really – I can't imagine you guys having to deal with more right now as young athletes and young men between the coronavirus and this. What is it like right now and coming back to a college campus with just a lot of an opportunity for change, of course, but a lot of stress and anxiety too coming back. I mean, what's going through your mind right now as a young man, like during this time?
Right now, I'm just, basketball's my peace right now. Mm-hmm. How the world's going right now. I think there definitely needs to be a change. I talk about it with my guys, the team all the time, just about what ways can we do things smart, to maybe make a difference for the kids that want to be like us one day, want to be in our position. The kids that don't have a voice, we have a platform. People are going to pay attention because of, where we are and who we are right now. So right now, I've been to a protest myself. I know my brother's been to protests also. I try to post on my social media. I try to educate my friends on what's going on. I'm trying to read more books about what's my history. So, that's the best I can do right now. I'm just going to keep on, continuing to do that. I think basketball is secondary because who we are as people is more important than that, So, me just looking and seeing, I look at my grandparents and what they had to go through, and now they see that it's still happening today. It's kind of sad. So, any way I can make a difference, that's what I'm gonna do.
Just as a follow-up, do you feel, and I know this is probably a tough question to answer, do you feel like things could maybe be a little different this time around? Do you feel like maybe more people are kind of getting slapped across the face and starting to wake up a little bit more? Do you think there's maybe an opportunity for real change this time around? Because we know this has been going on for 400 years, and it's been so hard. Do you think maybe there's something better that could come out this time around? Because we obviously have a lot of work to do.
Me being the person I am, I always see the good out of something, no matter how bad it is. I always have hope in something, whether there's no hope at all. So I think that, there's going to be at least a little bit of a change. I think people have to want to change first. Mm-hmm. And then, if they can want to change and they do change, then I think that a lot of stuff can happen that's going good in the world. Because, I was never raised to look down on anybody. My parents always said that I'm just as normal as anybody. I'm just as good as anybody. Mm-hmm. Nobody's above somebody else. Nobody's as low as the next person. So I feel like instead of everybody, doing a gimme thing, I feel like everybody should just spread love to, whoever it is and look to help out the next person.
And Caleb, as someone who's transferring to a new program, getting to know the new coaching staff, how much does it mean to see your head coach in Aaron McKee going out and getting involved with players and getting involved with these protests and being on the front lines there?
It's very important. There's not a lot of black coaches out there in general. So it means a lot that you see a kid, there's probably little kids in Philly, little kids in Jersey, little kids in New York, probably looking all over the country that's looking at him, as a mentor, like, wow, like I could be that one day. I know that I always wanted to be a coach when I was young, and I never believed that I really could be because, I was black. I never really seen a black coach growing up when I was a kid. So now being able to play for two of them, it makes me happy. That was my second black coach, college coach I get to play for. And I always wanted to be a coach one day. So, that's big. And I'm really happy that he's doing that.
With Father's Day weekend coming up, we wanted to ask you a question about your father, Gary Battle, who was an all-state high school player in New Jersey and became a Division II All-American at University of New Haven in Connecticut. What was that like growing up and being in a basketball-oriented household? And also, what has your dad taught you over the years about becoming a better player, especially since you had success in college?
Everything. My dad always used to give me tough love all the time. So a lot of times growing up, I was kind of lazy with basketball. I always loved it. I always loved basketball, but I just didn't know about hard work yet. And he didn't tolerate that. So he used to really work out my brother mostly. So I had to prove to him that, I really wanted to work hard. So every day after school, I used to go to the park and dribble in the basement. It used to be like 12 a.m. I used to be dribbling the ball, and he used to have to tell me, yo, stop dribbling the ball, come upstairs. So I really wanted to annoy him so he understands, like, Dad, I'm ready. I want to do this. And then after that, after he noticed that I really wanted to work harder, that, we've just been going hard ever since. And, he's everything for me. Anything I ever ask for, I know he's gonna be a provider and do his best to try to make it happen. Drove me to countless AU tournaments, and even though sometimes it sucked when you didn't play bad because you're gonna hear from him. I'm so thankful that I got to go through that process with him. Yeah.
Caleb, we have some mailbag questions from some of the readers and fans on our website. These are these are coming from screen names on our message board. The first one comes from West Coast Al. The question is, what has the coaching staff told you about your future role with the team?
They just told me that just be ready to play, which I liked. A lot of these other coaches were trying to tell me, like, you're going to get the ball right away, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But they were real, They're real. They just told me, man, if you're good enough and you can play, you work hard, you'll get what you want. That's really what they said, but they told me how to go get it. So that's what really intrigued me about them.
Mm-hmm. Next one is from the screen name is Park Al. Question is, this program hasn't won an NCAA tournament game in 7 years. You're one of, if not the highest rated signee at Temple in a decade. Is the pressure that accompanies that something that you thrive on?
Yeah. I like when my back is against the wall. I know we're going to get to NCAA tournament winning game. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. Next question, the screen name is Al Worldwide. The question is, what goals do you want to accomplish this year at Temple, and what goals do you want to accomplish over the next few years at Temple?
Just to be the best person, the best basketball player I could be. I want to create a lot of relationships, make a lot of friends, meet new people. I really want to embrace Philly, and I hope Philly embraces me. and hopefully I can give the fans a show, and hopefully my teammates and I can win a lot of games throughout my career.
The next question, the screen name is Vanter. What made you select Butler over Temple and other programs coming out of high school? Was there something about Temple's recruiting pitch that didn't resonate with you the first time around?
No, there was nothing wrong with Temple. There was nothing wrong with any school I didn't go to. Really, I was being recruited so fast and by a lot of people when I was young. My dad already went through the process with my brother, and I already kind of seen it. And I remember my brother originally committed to Michigan, and the coaches that were at Butler now were at Michigan. So we were already familiar, and it kind of felt like a family kind of thing. So I was already kind of close to them. So it was kind of, I'm just going to commit there.
And last reader mailbag question comes from the screen named Esther Boyer. Can you see any parallels between the competition and rivalries between the D1 programs in the state of Indiana and those here in Philly in the Big Five?
I can say a rivalry, but I think Philly is going to come out on top of that one. I mean, you have good teams like Butler, Purdue, you have Notre Dame. You got some good teams in Indiana. You got Indiana. But I think when you got teams like Villanova, they won championships, national championships recently. You got Temple's historic great basketball program. I hope I'm not missing it. You got LaSalle. Am I missing anybody? Big Five. You got St. Joe's. St. Joe's is a great basketball team. Yeah, we got some. No, I'm saying we got some great basketball teams. So, I feel like this is a different kind of level of Philly grit, though. So I think Philly will come out on top.
Okay, one last question for you. I'm sure I say this to a lot of the other guys. You've been covered a ton of times by the media in high school, Trenton Catholic, and in college. You guys get asked the same questions all the time, especially throughout the season. What's something that the people maybe don't know about you off the court? I know a lot of times guys will say, I don't have much time for anything else other than basketball and school, but what's something that maybe people don't know about you, another aspect of your personality or hobby that you don't get the chance to talk about as much?
I love art. That's a hobby. I love art. I love music. I don't know who said that they don't have time for anything else besides basketball in school. I don't know what type of schedule they have unless they're going to spend 12 and 12 hours a day doing. I don't know what they're talking about. But, I love art. I love to draw. Sometimes I catch myself drawing at night, past time, or just because I might have seen something throughout the day that I liked or wanted to create. I love playing video games. I just got into that. My brother is really big gamers. He has the headsets, 10 different video game controllers. He has 5 PS4s. He has the whole gaming chair. So I really started getting into that.
He's got the gaming chair too.
Yeah, he's got 3 gaming chairs, man. He's doing it for real. I like fashion. I love shopping and thrift store shopping. It just makes me happy. And then just spending time with my friends, family. I love playing Monopoly, card games, Uno. I think I'm the best Uno player alive, honestly. Yeah, it's a lot of things that people don't know about me. I wish that the public could see, but if they can, it's all right. But yeah, there's a lot of things more. I'm more than a basketball player.
We're starting to talk about it here. That's a good start. We'll ask what's stuff down the line. Caleb, this was awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a true pleasure to be able to talk to you, and hopefully we'll see you on campus pretty soon. Best of luck to you, and again, thanks for making time for us today. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, Caleb.
All right, so again, a big thank you to Khalif Battle. That was fun. I mean, just general reactions, guys. What did you think? I mean, he covered a lot of ground there. I loved his answer at the end about what he does outside of basketball. I had to laugh when he said, I don't know who told you that they don't have time for anything else other than basketball and classes. Just a cool, well-rounded guy, and obviously somebody who could really potentially help the program this year if he gets eligible right away. What are your takeaways from the interview?
I thought, like you said at the end, that was really cool how he really opened up about himself and talked his interests. But the one anecdote that he pointed out that I thought was really cool is how, Shiz played with his brother and he really tried to emulate a shot out of Shiz's game. And I mean, that's not something you would really ever know unless he told you. So that's really cool. I mean, that's definitely going to be something you'll look for this next season. If you said he reminded you of Deontay at Christmas, I mean, let's see if he reminds us of Shiz with his jump shot this year.
Either way, can't go wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
Shiz, I got to see Shiz play when he was really young. And, he's a skinny guy to begin with, but Shiz eventually got more and more lift on his jumper over the years. And then we obviously saw he became a terrific scorer and a terrific shooter. And he does, I mean, when you think about it now, yeah, his shot does remind me of Shiz's, but he really does remind me of Deontay. And, I mean, if he turns out to be like either one of those guys, obviously he was a big-time high school recruit and, probably would have gone on to a good career at Butler if he stayed there. But it has a chance to be a really good and really prolific shooter. But I enjoyed that anecdote as well.
I also thought it was great too, him talking about his older brother Tyus and kind of being under his shadow a little bit, and how that's the reason he wanted to go to Syracuse, but it's also a reason for motivation for him to kind of get better, and how his brother was kind of a harder worker when he was younger. So when his dad was really pushing his brother, he really had to show his dad that he was just as hard of a worker, and that's kind of where his drive came from. I thought that was interesting, and him talking about how he wants to be a future coach and how he sees the game that way, and how important it was too to be playing under a black coach at Temple under Aaron McKee, because when he was younger, he said there weren't many black coaches to look up to, and he didn't think that he could be one because of that. So seeing his kind of future played out that way, I thought that was really interesting.
And so since we talked to you the last time around on the Scoop, more recruiting news, which is always music to the ears of readers and fans. So along the basketball front, we'll tell you first, we are running another promo on the site, another 60-day free trial. The promo code is AL60. Same thing as last time around. If you sign up, if you're a new subscriber, get the first 60 days for free. For those of you who are current subscribers, if you refer a friend to the program, refer a Temple fan to the program, could be a good Father's Day gift coming up. Again, the recruiting news is not going to stop. There's going to be plenty to cover as Temple student athletes come back to campus. They announced their plan to have several student athletes come back starting next week. So we'll have football coverage, basketball coverage for you. Again, the promo code is AL60. So again, 60 days of free access to the site, all of our subscriber content. If you refer a friend, you get a free 2-month extension to your current subscription. And that friend that you refer gets half off their annual subscription. So you get big savings there. And there's plenty of stuff to read on the site. Just in the past week alone, if you're a basketball fan, of course, you can read about Jameel Brown, his Temple offer. Now, Temple offered him a while back. Jameel's one of the top players in the 2022 class. We have a story up on him. We have a story up on Zach Hicks from Sam Cohn. Yet another Zoom call with the Temple staff. We know that Temple has continued to make him a priority in the 2021 class. So you can read that story there. And then there have been 2 football verbal commitments, Jalen Satchell, and now just earlier today, Rakim Cooper, a big pickup for them on the offensive line. Temple out-recruited Rutgers and several other programs to get him, West Virginia, among others. Sam, you talked to both guys. You talked to Jalen Satchell. You talked to Rakim Cooper. The Jalen Satchell story's up on the site right now that you guys can check out. That's a subscriber story. Now, Sam, you had a chance to talk to Rakim Cooper not long before we started recording the podcast today. Your story will be up on the site soon. Can you just tell us a little bit about that conversation, about that interview, and what you took from it?
Yeah, I was generally surprised. He said he's the definition of a two-way player pretty much. I mean, he can play all 5 positions on the offensive line, all 5 positions on the defensive line. But what's funny is usually when a player verbally commits, they have an idea what position they're going to play. He doesn't really know right now. He's comfortable playing with either one. But Temple and the coaching staff pretty much said, okay, you're committed now, but let's see how your senior season goes, and then from there we can decide where we like you at. But I think they really like his toughness and his versatility, and he'll fit in well with this program. And the lead recruiter on him, like we said before, is Joe Tripati, who and that probably signals to where that Temple likes his positional versatility on the offensive line. He said he only spoke to Stewart on a couple of visits, not really. Coach Walter Stewart, the defensive line coach, on a couple of visits, not really somebody that was his main recruiter. So that might signal to where Temple likes him to play. But like you said, John, it's a big pickup. They got him over schools like West Virginia, Rutgers, Navy. So it's another addition to this class. And
again, Jalen Satchell, a guy who committed back on last weekend, a guy that they got in on kind of early. Had Albany in the mix, App State, Buffalo, schools like that. Again, you can check out Sam's story there. A couple other MAC schools were in the mix for him. So 2 verbal commitments. They're up to 9 now. Again, you can check out the Zach Hicks story as well along the basketball recruiting front as they look to assemble that 2021 recruiting class. We'll go to the mailbag now because that's where we've been asked, of course, about the news of Fran Dunphy, Temple's former basketball coach, taking over as the acting athletic director. And I know that's caused a lot of conversation among the fan base. We'll address that here in the mailbag. Pat Kraft, as you guys know, is set to take over as Boston College's athletic director on July 1st. So that's coming up very soon. Temple's president, Richard Engler, had said that he hoped that there would be an interim who could take over, or turned out to be an acting athletic director who could communicate with Pat Kraft on his way out. So that person for now is going to be Fran Dunphy. We have a couple stories up on our site right now. So again, that's obviously some big news as the athletic department moves forward. So we have a couple mailbag questions about that now. We'll talk about that. First one comes from SoCal Al. And the question, again, to lead us off here, what is your take on Dunphy as AD, interim AD, short-term or long-term? Is there a timetable? So that's the big question here, right? I was on that Zoom call yesterday, I think Fran's being genuine when he says, and I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said here, he said, I'm generally not a good no-sayer. If somebody comes to me, I was approached by Temple's leadership, and it was hard to say no to them. And I think Dump's being very genuine there. He didn't sound like a guy who was interested in doing this long term. I know Mark Narducci from the Inquirer had said, in part in his story, and again I'm paraphrasing here, he said it seemed kind of tough to pin him down on an answer, but Fran at one point very quickly pivoted and said, I think there are going to be a lot of qualified candidates for this job, a lot of people interested in the job. No, he didn't unequivocally come out and say, no, I absolutely will not be the long-term athletic director. I am only in this job for a month. I'm only in this job for 2 months. He did not say that, but I didn't get the impression that he was looking to do it long-term. I know it's one of the biggest cliches we throw around all the time. Yes, these things are fluid, but I don't know, what the actual timetable is here, but I didn't get the impression from Fran. I don't know what you guys think of this. If you have a different take, if it's different from mine, I don't know that he's looking to do it long term. I think he is very genuine about that. I think he feels like a responsibility. Somebody came to me and asked me to do this, and I don't want to let somebody down. I think he will. I think he's very realistic about what he knows and what he doesn't know. He talked about that yesterday. So I think he's obviously going to have to lean on a lot of people on that staff, people with previous AD experience like Craig Angelos, like Jessica Rio. And it comes obviously one of the most unprecedented times in college athletics and in this world. They're bringing students back to campus amid the COVID-19 pandemic during a time when athletes are going to be speaking out and want help and want resources with addressing social reform and racial injustice. So there's a lot going on right now. And so I think he's going to, as he said yesterday, not be bashful about asking for help. But my take is he didn't sound like a guy who wanted to do it long term, but I don't know if you guys have a different take on it.
Yeah, John, I agree with your sentiment there that probably Fran is stepping in and, doing the university a favor. And I don't think he could say no to the offer. But at the same time, I don't see him as a man who wants to do this for an extended period of time. We don't really know what Temple's search for the next athletic director looks like, but I guess they feel comfortable enough with Fran stepping in and having, the voices of 2 former Division I athletic directors in his ears. I think to me it came as a surprise as it did everyone else. I don't really know what to think about it. I just think that eventually the university is going to take its time, and while they probably need to be aggressive in order to find Pat Kraft's replacement, I think they're going to be careful, and they're going to do a national search to make sure that they can really properly replace his shoes. And I don't really know if Fran is up for the job, but I think he'll do it to the best of his ability.
Yeah, agreed. And he made it definitely sound like on that call that this is something he's comfortable doing short term. Didn't even sound, that I mean, he sounded comfortable with it, even if it didn't sound like he was that excited about it. So I couldn't really see him doing the job long term. And from Temple's perspective, it makes sense to bring in someone who's charismatic, who has lots of connections, more in a figurehead role, if anything, who still is going to have to make tough decisions or, do important jobs within this interim role, but maybe not do it long term, just kind of carry it over until they can get this long term situation figured out. So it definitely seems like a short term fix.
The next mailbag question, let me cue it up here. This is, again, coming from the football message board, from the screen name What TU. If you were allowed to pick, who would you choose for the next athletic director? Again, this is not, these are some names that get tossed around. None of this is, I have not talked to any of these people. Again, this is the whole thing, like when you're covering a coaching search, names pop up to you. People will say, keep an eye on this person, keep an eye on that person. I know Ryan Bamford, the athletic director up at UMass, is a name that gets thrown around. Again, want to make this abundantly clear. I have not talked to Ryan, but it's a name that comes up. He's kind of a hot name out there, as someone to keep an eye on. Beyond that, there's the athletic director at Memphis, Tom Bowen. His name's gotten mentioned to me a couple of times. Again, want to make it abundantly clear, haven't talked to him. So I think I agree with Fran, when it comes time to doing, once they pivot to, or if they pivot to doing a national search at some point, whether that's sooner or later, sure, I think you're going to see a lot of qualified names that could pop up. You have a football program that isn't just emerging, but a football program that is, as we all know, has put a lot of players in the NFL. A basketball program with resources. They're not in the Big East. No, they're not in the ACC, but they have high major aspirations and high major resources. A 10,000 seat arena, a $10 million practice facility that's undergone a couple of renovations already. So those are a couple of the names that have come up to me. Tom Bowen, Ryan Bamford. I think if you looked around and looked at maybe a couple of the deputies at some of the bigger schools in America, with leadership experience at some big time programs, I think those are names that you could probably deduce and say, hey, maybe that's someone they might look at. But we'll see. Obviously too early to tell. And again, we have not sourced this out, haven't talked to anybody personally, but those are maybe a couple of names that I would think of at this point.
Yeah, I think, you're looking at, like you said, outside. If UMass makes sense, the guy from UMass. I know Mark Ingram's name has come up. I'm not too sure if, he would be interested or involved. But also, I think, right now, their best bet might be, if they're not looking for somebody who already holds an athletic director's position, maybe a number 2 at a Power 5 school. You can't go wrong with that. But, like I said before, I think they're going to take their time and really making sure that they're picking the correct person to fill Pat Kraft's shoes, which are big shoes to fill.
And so in closing, we did want to address, it's been a tough time for the Temple sports community. We talked about the passing of Merv Jones, the longtime public address announcer. And now Temple's lost another terrific person, Officer James Jones, who really handled security for the Temple football team. So many of the players called him Officer Jonesy. Passed away this past week, way too young. Had the chance to get to know him. And I don't know that I could add anything else that a lot of the football players have added, other than he had a great smile and infectious personality and was so nice and so kind. And I was devastated when I heard the news, and I can't imagine how the current coaches and players, the former coaches and players feel. If you look at Twitter, you see all these people who paid tribute to him: PJ Walker, Deion Dawkins, again, all referring to him as Officer Jonesy. He was the guy that, if you were in Lot K and the team would do the walkthrough before the games, he would lead them through. And just working on Temple's campus, I got the chance to talk to him. And again, it's one of those things where you look back and think, if I wish I had created more opportunities to talk to him. Just a terrific guy. Breaks my heart. He has a family. He has a daughter, and Father's Day is coming up in a couple of days. And it just doesn't seem fair. It's a huge, huge loss for his family, the people who knew and loved him in the Temple Police Force, and everybody whose life he affected, and all these current and former players. just another tough pill to swallow for the Temple athletics community. And just wanted to mention his name on this podcast. And I'm going to miss him again. Just an awesome, awesome human being. I can tell you that anything you hear about him more is true. It was just always smiling and laughing. And I know he was close with Jeff Collins and that staff, had become close with this staff, and just a really, really tough thing. So we wanted to pay tribute to him, and hopefully we'll be able to get people on the podcast in the future that can help pay tribute to him, just like Carlos Bass did for Merv Jones last week. So wanted to acknowledge his passing and just send our thoughts out to his family. Again, gone way, way too soon. We'll miss you, Jonesy. Just a terrific human being. And that'll do it for this week. Big thank you to Khalif Battle for joining us. Had a lot of fun talking to him. Of course, thank you to Sam and Graham here for keeping us company. Sam Cohen could not join us this week, but hopefully he'll be back with us next week. Again, the news cycle will not stop. We'll have more recruiting news for you if it's there, both along the football and the basketball front. We'll keep you updated on everything. Hope to have more guests for you in the future as June winds down and we move toward July, and athletes are starting to come back to campus. So thank you again so much for tuning in this week, and we will talk to you next week. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Stay safe, stay happy and healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.